My brother threw my daughter in the basement because she called out his son's rude behavior. Now the entire family is turning against him. A few days ago, my wife took our daughter to a birthday party hosted by my brother, but we never expected everything to go wrong in the way that it did. Around halfway through the day, my phone lit up, and it was my wife calling. She was literally crying her eyes out and couldn't form proper sentences. She said I needed to come over immediately because our daughter had been hurt. That's all I needed to hear to start breaking the speed limit. But then my wife continued. She said that my brother, a grown man, had lashed out at our 11-year-old daughter and thrown her into the basement while my wife was in the bathroom. I had trouble believing that that was the truth, but my wife just sounded so distraught. My blood started boiling and I knew I needed to calm down before I skinned someone alive. When I got to my brother's house, I could hear screams coming from the backyard. My wife was holding our daughter in her arms, who had a blanket wrapped around her. My brother was towering over them and lecturing them on how to act at a party. The other kids at the party were standing off to the side. My brother panicked when he saw me and stammered over his words before saying, "Wait, I can explain." But I didn't listen and instead picked up my daughter, who was clearly going blue in the face. I then took her to the hospital because that was more important than finding out the truth, at least for now. Once they told me she was okay, I asked my wife what had happened. Apparently, our daughter, my nephew, and all their cousins were sitting on the couch when my wife had to go to the bathroom. That's when my nephew started telling my daughter about how he and his friends had played a prank on a girl where they poured oil and grease all over her hair. My daughter told him that this wasn't funny and asked if he had apologized to her. When he heard what my daughter said, he started calling her stupid and that she doesn't know anything. My daughter, bless her heart, told him that he would never get a girlfriend if he didn't fix his behavior. He crashed out and started pulling on her hair, so she pushed him away. That's when my brother came back after seeing off one of the guests. His kid yelled, "She called me stupid," and started beating me. My brother got so angry that he didn't even ask for an explanation. He grabbed my daughter's arm and started dragging her away. He opened the door to the basement and literally threw her in before closing it. My wife had heard the screams and came running, but when she asked where our daughter was, my brother said he didn't know. My wife could hear banging from the basement door, but my brother was blocking it and wouldn't let her open it. He only stepped away once she threatened to call the police. When she opened the door, she saw that our daughter was terrified out of her mind and hyperventilating since the lights were off. I didn't want to listen to the story anymore and lost my cool. I left the hospital so I could go back to my brother's place, and when I got there, our parents had arrived. I confronted him in front of them and asked how he could get violent with a little kid, not to mention the little kid was his niece. I told him that even if she was wrong, he had no right to lay his hands on her. I called him a monster and revealed the entire story to my parents. They believed it because literally last week, my brother's son had attacked one of his other cousins in a similar manner. My brother yelled back, saying he only did what was necessary because my daughter was attacking his son. So I asked him if his son had any bruises or cuts, after which he went silent. The other kids at the party were listening in and chimed up. We asked Uncle to leave Stacy alone, but he wouldn't listen. I wanted to call the police and get my brother arrested, but my parents told me that I should leave this to them since I wasn't in the right mind. I knew they were right, so I left, but I never expected them to take things to the extreme. They told my brother they were sick and tired of handling his outbursts and were cutting him off entirely, including taking away his inheritance. They went one step further and informed all relatives about the incident. They were furious since their kids were also at the party and immediately picked the children up before blocking my brother's number. I knew because a few hours later my brother had called me, asking me to fix things since he really needed his inheritance. He was crying and said his ex-wife is blaming him for this and threatening to take full custody of their son, but he still hadn't apologized to me or to my daughter, so I told him that this was his own doing and then hung up.